Hey. What's up, everybody? This is Coach Powell. So glad to be back with you today. We have a great show in store for you today. For those of you all who are watching the show, experiencing the opportunity for the first time, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, um, or on YouTube or Instagram, feel free to participate in the chat. Feel free to upload any information or any discounts or anything that you want to drive attention to, because this show is a business friendly show. We like to make sure that entrepreneurs and business leaders and any professionals that we can grow into our network have the opportunity to share, to engage, and to really show up. And so if you're coming from someplace and you gotta you want to shout out your zip code or the area that you're coming from or the business that you have, feel free to load that information in the chat and engage with us. We want to help you tell your story. We want to help you engage with as many opportunities as you possibly can. And if there's something for you that, again, anything you want to share in your business, feel free to share it in the chat. This is a business friendly channel. This is a business friendly opportunity. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, engage with the content as much as you possibly can. Sorry, I got a little bit of a sore throat. I'm trying to actually be quiet too at the same time, so it's difficult. But today's show is going to be super special because we are continuing in this ongoing series of creating positive social environments in organizations that you belong to, in groups that you're going to be engaged with, become a part of, whether you're leading the group or you're part of the team, or you're trying to find different types of relationships, professional relationships with investors, potential mentors, anybody that might be able to help be a catalyst for a conversion or opportunity for you and your business. These are the skills that you're going to be able to develop and maintain and will help you grow the strength of your network, not just your network itself, but you're growing the strength of your network by engaging and behaving in ways that matter most to human beings. And so this system that I developed many years ago called the RAPapproach is really all about finding ways for people to work together to literally, share authentic praise, appropriate affection, and professional respect. So RAP is an acronym. It stands for respect, affection, and praise. When you're showing professional respect, appropriate affection, and authentic praise, and you learn how to do these things really exceptionally well, then you can claim to have a hold on everything needed to create the most positive, most thriving, most engaging social environments known to mankind. Because you're really hacking into what it is to be human, hacking into our human DNA, our system of how we develop positive emotions with each other and do so extremely well. Now, for the last couple of weeks, I talked to you about respect. We beat that up, talked to you about everything that professional respect can bring to the table for leaders or anybody who wanted to engage in a powerful dynamic network of people. You can't collaborate without respect. You can't do um, anything great with individuals without understanding the basic mechanics of respect, not the stuff that we take for granted that we give lip service to, but the real details about how our respect affects us neurologically, how historically we have morphed into different levels and different assignments of respect. So you can go back and watch the previous episodes. We started off last week really getting into appropriate affection. And I gave you a highlighted overview of appropriate affection. We talked a little bit about what the key elements of appropriate affection are, and we're not going to get into that today. We're gonna talk more about today. We're going to talk about the benefits of appropriate affection. When you get this right, when you are working with teams and you are sharing affection appropriately with one another, something magical happens within the human connection and the human environment. Whenever you're there with people, right? Something magical happens, and details are going to be amazing in terms of the results that you're able to achieve with individuals when you get this and get this right. And we're going to go through some of those core benefits with you today. And we're going to start off with a quote. This quote comes from Simon Sinek. If anybody knows Simon Sinek, he is just an amazing consultant and a management consultant and an amazing motivator when it comes to understanding how people work together in teams and in groups. And if you get a chance to work with him or listen to him, I suggest you do so. But I love this quote from Simon Sinek because it reminds us of so many things that are important and appropriate when it comes to dealing with affection in the workplace or affection in any group or any team or any association that we would have. Here's the quote. When people are financially invested, they want to return. When people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. Let me say that again. When people are financially invested, they're looking for a return. But when people are emotionally invested, they're looking to make a contribution. That in and of itself says everything we need to talk about when it comes to appropriate affection, right? We think about affection and we often think about inappropriate affection. And so therefore we don't do anything that shows or shares any level of affection in the professional setting, in the workplace, in the corporate world. We shy away from emotions and feelings because we discount them so much because we're scared we might get in trouble. We're scared we might be accused of unwanted attention. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about appropriate affection, right? And so you first have to get over that notion that affection is not appropriate, period, right? You have to understand that affection is always appropriate where human contribution is required, is needed, right? So think about that. There's a few questions that Senec's quote kind of brings to mind when I began to look at it. And the first question is, how do we appropriately demonstrate emotional investments or contributions that we would make to the most vital members of our professional networks. How do you do that? How do you share your appropriate thoughts and feelings, positive appropriate thoughts and feelings with individuals that are in your network, people that are looking to invest in your organization, or people who are looking to partner with you, or people who are looking to work with you in some kind of collaborative team? How do you make sure they know? How do you make sure you approach that in a way that's going to help generate contribution back from them? That's more than just I'm doing my job, or more than just I'm being productive, or more than just I'm checking off the boxes so I can get a good performance rating. How do you get people to be exceptional? How do you get them to go above and beyond? Right? You're going to have to show appropriate affection. So question number one is, how do we do that? How do we do that in work with people in ways that kind of be meaningful? Question number two is, how will people receive the emotional contributions that we do make, and what is a reasonable return for those efforts? You just don't want to go willy-nilly um, out there being affectionate in every space and every place you possibly can. I mean, yes, it's important to be kind. It's important to be loving. It's important to be tender. It's important to make sure that you're not purposefully trotting on someone else's feelings or thoughts, but literally, you got to really think through. Is it how much bandwidth do you have to care for everyone, right? You probably need to think about what your bandwidth is, and how much you can share and show attention and effort and affection for people. And what's the most appropriate way for you to go by do that, right? And how do you do that in a way that you can get the return that you're looking for, the contribution that you're looking for? So let me start by saying this. Um, there's no such thing as too much attention. Today's busy corporate organizations in the world that we live in, we all are suffering from what I like to call attention deficit, meaning we're all overwhelmed. We all have too much on our plate. We all have, so much going on that it's easy to overlook or take for granted the very people that we should not overlook or take for granted. What Seneca's quote points out to us is that the right emotional investments, driven by affection and support, lead to greater satisfaction, engagement, and contribution with the people that we get to share our time, our talent, and our treasure with. The best leaders know how to do this and know how to get the teams that they're working with to supply themselves and one another with the support and resources needed. They do it early and they do it often. They understand how to generate and maintain the benefits of appropriate affection. Now, here are the benefits. The first benefit of appropriate affection is you're going to see enhanced satisfaction. People around you are going to start to feel like they have what it takes to fulfill their wishes, their expectations, and their needs, because there's a pleasure derived that feeds the human heart when everyone feels like they belong, when everyone feels like they're clicking, when everyone feels like the things that they're doing are more positive than they are negative, right? Organizations who understand this, they get to show up in a super powerful and meaningful way for the people that engage with those organizations. The fact is, we are more likely to be satisfied with our jobs. We're more likely to be satisfied with our memberships. We're more likely to be satisfied with the teams and industries that we represent and belong to. And we're more likely to have a greater longevity in those organizations when we learn how to foster a sense of pride, a sense of achievement, a sense of enjoyment with people that we're working with. We stay with the company longer, we stay with the organization longer, and all of this leads to a deeper, ever deeper engagement and commitment to the organization, to the brand, to the company, to whatever it is that we're trying to create sustainable growth around. When I think about enhanced satisfaction specifically in my network, I ask this question: what can I do better or differently to encourage the fulfillment of the wishes, needs, and expectations of others that are in my network, people that I've chosen to connect with, people that I've chosen to involve myself with, people that I've chosen to be a part of, my brand, my network, my organization, whatever it is I've done, however, made that the selection process, criteria, and they jump through all those hoops and now they're in. So now, how do I treat them in a way that encourages their dreams? How do I treat them in a way that encourages the fulfillment of their wishes? How do I make sure that the expectations that they have are being fulfilled and met, right? That's number one, enhanced satisfaction. Number two, when it comes to appropriate affection in the workplace or wherever we are, is a sense of increased productivity. We want more efficiency and effectiveness out of the people that we connect with, out of the people that we work with. But how do we get them happily to put their proverbial shoulder to the plow, right? To produce the levels of productivity that they are capable of, or that we understand or believe that they're capable of. What's important here is it turns out that generating that positive and supportive environment around them boosts not just their morale, but their motivation in getting things done at a high level of productivity. Of course, the best performance overall is done when groups and teams of all sizes simply demonstrate that they care about each other and each member of the team appropriately. They take the time to show that everyone's contribution, individually and collectively, are important and special. The more you focus on celebrating the gifts and talents that everybody brings to the table in the pursuit of the mission, the vision of the organization, the goals that the organization is trying to do, the more you take time to celebrate, honor those moments as a leader, as a teammate, as somebody, the more you are in contributing to that environment where appropriate affection is happening. And the more that happens, the more contribution and engagement people are going to demonstrate. So when I think about increased productivity as results to appropriate affection, the question I ask myself is, how can I boost this productivity? How can I demonstrate that I care about strengthening the benefits that I deliver within the networks that I belong to for each individual of the network? Now, quick announcement, just got accepted to be a board member in the Virginia State Black Chamber of Commerce. And I know that I've got some work to do because I'm going to have fellow board members. And I'm very, very interested in making sure that to accomplish the role, the responsibility of leading and becoming a board member for the organization, that I'm interested in now helping to demonstrate and boost the productivity of each and every member of the network in a way that works for them. Not that works for me, but in the way that works for them. Because when I do this, right, I'm going to accomplish number three, which is improved mental health. We've talked about enhanced satisfaction. We've talked about increasing productivity. But the other benefit, clear benefit of appropriate affection in the workplace and in the associations and in the organizations that you belong to or that you engage with is you get to add to the improved mental health of the individuals that are in the organization. Your contribution should reduce stress, should minimize anxiety. It should contribute to a better mental health and overall well-being for each and every individual that is a part of the team, the network, the association, the organization, and you should be working towards that end. That's the contribution that you should be making as a member, as a leader, as a subordinate, whatever role that you play within that environment. So you have to do everything you can to show empathy. You have to do everything you can to show support. And that means listening to other people more than you might normally do, practicing the skill of active listening is a very important effort in creating an overall space of mental health and overall well-being when it comes to dealing with and working with other human beings. When organizational leaders get this right, they understand that the pressure and the anxiety that often creep into the work or the assignment or the projects that any of us are going to work on um, don't have to be there. When there's a supportive, positive environment that understands what healing means and understands how to act to mitigate those feelings, and they can begin to proactively address them for the future. Organizations that's fully embraced mental health and well-being in their service development employee, they deliver significant positive outcomes. And think about this. What creates stress and anxiety most within you, within the people that you work with, and the people, organizations that you belong to, right? It's usually mismanaged expectations. It's usually bad communication strategy and technique that lead to um, negative outcomes. And it leads to bottleneck, and it leads to poor performance, and it leads to expensive re-engaging through private contractors or taking stuff back from people that we expected them to be able to do, but aren't able to fulfill it. And we have to figure out who's going to do it now and all that kind of stuff. It gets ugly and it gets time consuming. It becomes expensive. But worse than anything else is it detracts from the mental health and well-being of the people that are engaged in the processes. So it's important for leaders to be really, really good. And I don't mean leaders, I mean everybody needs to be really, really good at showing empathy and support. Not just trying to one up on each other and get your ideas to move forward, but to really listen, really dig deep, really ask the good questions, and that are going to be useful and meaningful in bringing out um, the things that might make us feel a little bit anxious, a little bit stressed, a little bit fearful, and having that positive and supportive environment for those feelings and for those emotions is super, super important, especially when we spend 40 to 60 hours, you know, digging away, whether we're doing it online, we're doing it in groups, we're doing it in teams, no matter how we engage, the time we spend in doing the work that we're doing, trying to produce the things that we're trying to produce could be so much better when people are concerned with making sure that every activity leads to the well-being and positive outcomes for everybody else involved. So the question I ask myself when I'm thinking about appropriate affection and improving mental health and well-being in the organizations and groups that I belong to is how often do I communicate or share those mental health tips and tricks that I've learned over the years? And how often do I even share the challenges that I'm having with people in my networks? Because if you don't share the challenges that you're having, how is anybody going to come to the rescue? How is anybody going to um, be that bridge on that solution to whatever stress or anxiety that you're dealing with? So, yeah, we may have talked about the benefits of enhanced satisfaction. We talked about the benefits of increased productivity, and we talked about the benefits of improved mental health. But the last benefit, and maybe even the most important benefit of promoting a environment where there is appropriate affection shared by everyone in that environment is stronger team cohesion. You see that teams that bond together, they have a high sense of unity, high sense of connection, um, uh, uh, a high sense of collaboration, and they do that exceptionally well. They basically shore each other up on their weaker sides by focusing on their strengths and making sure that they're allowing each other to focus on their strengths, and they don't shy away from opportunities to relate to one another, um, and thereby avoiding any dysfunction that may occur because you don't want to come to the meeting and fully engage. You know, you don't want to go to the meeting because this person might be in the meeting. So you don't want to share your ideas around this person because they might steal your ideas. All kinds of craziness happens with people when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? But you don't want to create an environment where people shy away from opportunities to relate to one another, to share together. Because when you do this, you are promoting dysfunction. Instead, you want the affectionate interactions of the members of your team to strengthen the bonds, to lead to better collaboration and more cohesiveness in the environment that you belong to. So again, when I'm thinking about these things, I ask myself the question, what do I do to help the members of my network get to know one another and show them how they can benefit from collaborating together? Now, in practice, these ideas and concepts take on all kinds of forms. And in our next plan structure about this, we're going to be given some tips, some tactics, and some strategies of what can be done in organizations and in groups to really nail this affection part correctly. But I want to talk to you a little bit about why we need it in the first place. Why do human beings need affection in the workplace, in association meetings, in groups, in collective opportunities, even when we're online, even when we're doing Zoom calls or whatever we're doing? Well, it turns out that, and we've already discussed some of this stuff, that affection is immediately important to reduce stress and anxiety. And it releases those feel good hormones, those neurotransmitters. It releases dopamine and endorphins and serotonin and, oxytocin, all those things that make us feel good about who we are and feel good about being together. This kind of emotional support is essential for well-being and mental health. The other thing is this, the social bonding, the connection, right? When you get this right, affection always strengthens social bonds. It always makes us feel connected and valued to and for and by one another. This sense of belonging is vital to our happiness and our satisfaction. Let me say this again. This sense of belonging is vital to our happiness and our satisfaction in all that we do. There is a need, a human need for appropriate affection. The last thing that we need and why we need appropriate affection is it affects our physical health. Turns out, this is the science. I didn't make this up. When you read the document that I attached in today's training, you'll understand where I'm coming from. But the science behind this interaction, or behind affectionate interaction, I should say, literally lowers our blood pressure. It improves our immune function and reduces the risk of chronic disease. Again, I didn't make any of this up. Science, data, we've researched this. Psychologists, sociologists, social psychologists, everybody involved with creating a more positive and empowering environment for people to exist. We all understand all these things have been true for years. There's nothing new in any things that I'm sharing with you, but I'm sharing with you hopefully in a way that you can grasp it and understand it. Right? We need affection. We need it like we need to breathe. Human beings need appropriate affection. All right. Because when we do this well, we are well. We become well. We literally can hyper scale our feelings of satisfaction and our productivity with each other when we get this right. We'll talk more about this in future episodes. We're going to get into the real neuroscience behind all of this. We're going to get into historically how various religious organizations have done this, and we're going to get into the techniques, the tactics, the strategies that you could use to really, really understand appropriate affection. How do you use it well everywhere you are, everywhere you're working with people, specifically with people that you care about. Okay, we've been doing this now for about half an hour. And if there's no questions or comments in the audience, we're going to keep this party going. I see my boy Donnell is out there with Veterans Growing America. Thanks for the shout out, Donnell. Thanks for the fire. Really appreciate you. And for those of you who don't know, Donnell is a supercharger in his own right, and he's really good at helping veterans literally grow their businesses. And in doing so, and I love this notion of Veterans Growing America, right? And the more veterans, the stronger they are in business. Whether they're active duty veterans or coming off of active duty and moving into whatever the next phase of their life are, of children or whatever of the veterans, it's always a great thing for them to participate in the growing economy of the US and make sure that our economy stands strong. And I can't think of anybody better to do it than my fellow veterans. So I look forward to working with Donnell on a few things in the future. And I thank him for giving us a shout out today. Got a lot of other people out there in the audience, who's shooting thumbs up and heartfelt emojis and all that kind of good stuff to what we're doing. Hopefully, you enjoyed today's presentation, and you'll be with us in the future as we continue to explore the various ways we're going to create the positive, engaging social environments that we have to create in order to do the things we need to do in business. God bless you all, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I know I'm planning on some good stuff, and I got some exciting news that I'm going to be breaking. So come back and check us out next week, and we'll look forward to seeing you. I'll have probably my whole coaching team and everybody else will be here with me next Friday. God bless you, and we're out of here.